Hello, everyone. Welcome to the CuberCast podcast, where we talk about what's happening in our universe of cubing. I'm Carter Cubes on Twitch and YouTube.
I'm Humble Cuber on Twitch and YouTube.
And I'm Carter Kid on Twitch and YouTube.
In today's episode of the CuberCast podcast, we'll be talking with Jules and Phil from TheCubicle on how to get sponsored and talking about TheCubicle in general.
For our first question, so a misconception about getting sponsored is that you have to have a big audience. Why is this not the most important aspect about being sponsored, and what do you value in potential content?
I would probably say that the reason that I really don't care about the big audience in terms of a number is it can be artificially boosted through many means, right? So there's like bots, follow for follow, giveaways. Those guys are what I consider inorganic followers. Basically people who just follow for the sake of following for a contest or their bots or whatever. So when a big audience is good, but the audience needs to be engaged and it needs to be genuine, because those are the types of people that actually stick around for the content and then enjoy the content and all that. And you can usually get a grasp of those audience members by kind of seeing how they interact with the content creator. I think it's a lot easier for us as a company to pick out people that do engaging content, because it shows in the comment sections, it shows in everyone else's thoughts when they try to kind of explain why they like their content.
Cool. Yeah, and for me, I don't think the audience size is the number one metric to view when we're evaluating a new potential sponsorship, because what we're hoping for is growth and momentum. And there are several issues with big audiences we've seen in the past. We're hoping that whatever size you are, you have the ability to engage and grow and maintain good momentum. Because one problem is sometimes when you have a very big audience, sometimes you can get complacent and not develop as a content creator, and it's much more valuable to meet a self-starting person, with a sense of initiative. That way, there's some hope for the future, and that is significantly more important. Is we want to see some sign that you can eventually become big, or you can develop yourself in a positive way. I think that attitude is the most valuable in a potential sponsored cuber.
I think also one of the other things is that I notice with a lot of big content creators, I'm not saying this for everybody, but they don't really interact with their audience sometimes, which I also think is a pretty big issue in terms of like engaging with your audience to make them feel more connected with their content. So yeah.
Yes and no. I mean, like, it's logistically difficult to interact with thousands of people on an individual basis. I mean, there are ways to do that. You can have a Discord server, or you can live stream and respond to comments. Some people do it better than others. Some content creators are a lot more social with their audience, but it is logistically very challenging to talk to people on a one-to-one basis.
Yeah, I agree. Sub count doesn't matter at all. I used to think that sub count was the biggest aspect of getting sponsored, but boy was I wrong. Nathan Miles got sponsored with 40 subscribers, and his content, the reason he got sponsored, I think, is because content isn't like the regular types of, review, this cube turns well, here are the specs. He does like event retrospective stuff. I don't know if that's what it's called, but yeah, he goes more in depth with like what the events are about and different non-WCA puzzles. He's just different from every other cubing YouTuber, and I think that's really something to look for if you want to get sponsored. You don't want to be another JR Cuber or Cubehead. You want to be the new you. Yeah, we don't need more JR Cubers. We need a new you. So yeah, I think unique content is better than having a big sub count, because again, as Jules said, follow for follow and sub bots exist, and those are not good.
Like cubing YouTube, it's the go-to for cubing YouTube in general has always been unboxings and reviews, solves, and tutorials. There's very little content outside of those three that really stand out. So when you make something that's really unique and it's really like personalized, we understand that and we feel that, and that's what we want to see, because you're developing yourself.
Personally, I make kind of, I guess, sort of like a unique sort of content, just like trying to make funny keeping content, but not like the standard. I guess not really like the standard skit or something like that. I try to make something that's unique, but also sort of funny, and that I really enjoyed that. And I think it's sort of like a different type of content that I feel like that it's kind of like experimenting with my own sort of content, but I think that that's about what works best for me. I don't really like doing reviews or tutorials in general either. So yeah.
So I definitely think that originality is super important. I have been known, even myself, to do those basic unboxing reviews and tutorials, but I've kind of been trying to branch myself away from those because I know that they're super saturated on YouTube at this point.
I'm guilty of just doing unboxings, reviews, solves, and tutorials. That's pretty much my channel in a nutshell, but I try to include like different parts. Like for example, for my GAN 11M Pro review, I included me, who had like a super high pitched voice from a year ago reviewing the GAN XS, and I used it to review the GAN 11M Pro, but kind of like a year before. So I think that was pretty creative, and I think being unique is the most important part of being a YouTuber. If you had one tip for a person who is applying for a sponsorship, what would that tip be?
I think self-awareness is the most important quality an applicant can have. Just an understanding of their strengths and their weaknesses. And obviously, we don't really talk about people's shortcomings very much. So just understanding of what they can contribute and how they can contribute it and what they expect in return is really helpful and makes the whole application process really quick in a good way.
Yeah, I personally like, if I were to give a tip, it would be to present yourself like, how should I put it, as detailed as possible, and make it easier for the person who's evaluating you to make a decision. Because if you give me every single detail I'm looking for, like if you're applying for YouTube or something, I think it should be a no-brainer that you should link your YouTube channel, explain your metrics, explain your videos, what your upload schedule is like, what you want to do, what you expect from the company. Like those are some really basic things that I feel like is super super important when you try to apply. Because if I see something like, hey, I have like 4,000 subscribers, sponsor me, like I again, I don't care about the sponsorship count. Like, tell me more about what your plans are, like what sets you apart from every single other person that's applying right now. I think some details, I be very detailed would be my tip.
Yeah, I agree. The reverse Yo Bro sponsorship is definitely not the way to go. Don't slide into Jules and Phil's DM saying, "Hey, can I be sponsored?" If you're listening to this podcast, if you want to apply for a sponsorship, just email them at sponsorship@thecubicle.com. And yeah, that's the way to go. Do not slide into the DMs. That will not work. And yeah, you don't want to just say, "Hi, my name is XYZ Cuber," because they're going to be, if you do first initial, second initial Cuber, they're going to be a bunch of other people with your channel name. So you're going to want to link your channel. And you also want to say your plan for going forward. If you're just going to say, "I'm going to make YouTube videos every day," that's not really saying much. If you're going to say, "My plan is to reach this milestone by this day," I think that's really important to do, so the company can see what you're trying to do and how you can help them.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I kind of, I think from what I've heard, there's way too many people that actually think that they could just email the cubicle and say, "Yo, bro, can I have a sponsorship and give me like free stuff and like, a sponsor this channel?" That's not how it works at all. So, yeah.
I know it makes it like the way we kind of introduce people and kind of add them into the network. It does seem a lot like, yeah, we're just sponsoring this person because, X, Y, or Z or whatever. But there's a lot of decisions that kind of go in the background. Like, do we actually want to work with this person? Do we see this person developing? Uh, so yeah, details are always very very important to me. I don't know about Phil, but to me it's very important to get to know you.
Yeah, And this goes back to the whole self-awareness thing. Like, I know someone mentioned sliding into the DMs. It's rather casual. If you know me, then sure, like you can DM me. But if you don't know me, don't pretend like you know me and just DM me without any details. Like, I think being aware of your relationship or your rapport with the staff members is pretty important. Otherwise, yeah, people assume some really weird things and it gets awkward.
All right, so going into the next question, what was it like starting your own cubing company from the ground up? I guess this kind of goes to Phil. But yeah.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Basically, we started this business in a dorm room. It was extremely fun. Partially because at that point in time, it was like an adventure. We didn't have a ton of responsibilities like paying a significant amount of bills, having to worry about our employees. It was just two people, college students, just doing their own thing. Now it's really different because we have to, or the past year we had to, protect people during a pandemic, make sure everyone didn't lose their jobs, satisfy customers, pay the bills, make sure that customer service is working good. We had a lot of responsibilities, and yeah. But when we first started out, it was incredibly fun. It was really chill, and it really helped us, develop a lot of enthusiasm for the business.
Yeah, that seems really fun. Like, when people ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I kind of sort of jokingly say I want to work at the Cubicle Pro Shop because setting up cubes is just something that I love to do, and doing that for a living would be really fun. But yeah, doing that it just seems like a really fun thing to do. Back then, when the Cubicle started, there weren't that many cube stores around, so there wasn't as much competition, I think. But yeah, it just seems like a really fun opportunity and experience, like just starting a cube store from the ground up. I mean, going to work at the Cubicle is one thing, but starting the Cubicle is a whole different thing.
Our business is 10 years old. And
wow.
back then it was Cube Depot and Speed Cube Shop. Just to put things in perspective, Cameron was 14 years old
Oh
when we
my
first
gosh,
started.
Wow.
He's obviously an adult now, but he was a child then. And we we were all very young. I mean, we were college students and not that much older than him. So this whole industry is just run by a bunch of young people. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, I've seen a ton of cube stores run by teens recently. I know there's a couple inside the UK that are run by teens. SES was started by a teen. You guys were started when you guys were all in college. So it seems like actually these stores are what teens are kind of starting as maybe their first job. They're actually starting their own cube company.
Yeah, it's crazy. But teens, that's who's relatable. Like as a young person, I can relate to the customers and say, yeah, I'm a cuber. I understand like how you feel about these brands and these products, and so I have a better chance of relating to the customer than someone say in their 50s.
Yeah.
I agree. Keeping a business alive during a pandemic must have been so difficult. There's this one meme I saw because during the debate, President Trump said something about cubicles, and someone made a meme about it,
I
about
saw
how
that.
like, yeah, I know, I saw you commented, but it's true. Like I mean, I'm not gonna lie, a cube store isn't like Amazon. It's not a ginormous business, and a pandemic might kill it. Keeping a cube store alive in a pandemic must have been super difficult, and I'm very happy that it stayed alive. And great job to you guys. I'm very happy that it's still here.
If you're listening, just like give a very soft clap.
Yes, round of applause for the Cubicle.
Yes.
Yeah, that we didn't go out of business or die. Yeah, I'm very happy.
Yay.
Very happy.
In fact, there was even like very little downtime.
Yeah.
It was very surprising.
And for us, we actually, everybody who wanted a job at the Cubicle during the pandemic was able to keep their job, and we paid them regardless of whether they went to work or not. And to be able to do that was good stuff. Solid.
Everybody asks, how are you, but not why are you? So, why are you?
Yeah, it's a very philosophical question.
Why we are is because of what we've done up until this point.
Yes.
And why was actually because of a joke.
Oh no! Do you want
Right?
to tell him the joke? The joke is horrible.
Yes, please
Oh.
tell joke.
So I used to work for a company that installed security systems.
Wait.
So when but they were making some cuts, and I unfortunately was let go. And the first thing that I was asked when I was at the cubicle was, why couldn't you install a job security system?
Oh, no.
Oh, it was one of the most savage interview questions I've ever asked.
Oh my gosh.
But because
That's
of
tough.
that, I kind of realized like this is gonna be an awesome place to work, right? Because if we're gonna just throw banter at each other constantly, I could work here, right? I don't want to be in a place where it's too serious. I don't want to be in a place where it's suit and tie every single day, addressing my boss as Mr. Whatever.
Oh god, I
Right.
used to do that.
Part of it is why we are is because of our company culture. It's very loose, it's very fun, while still kind of maintaining a very high status quo.
Yeah, and for me, I'm working with my best friends every day. This is so much better than any other realistic employment opportunity that I would probably have. And knowing that you can joke around and both like be serious at the same time with the same people really tells you that you can really work out anything with your team, and that's really important because we have to make some tough decisions sometimes. Times aren't always like easy, and they're not always a laughing matter. But I have confidence that if I can get down to business and talk serious and joke around, I can do everything in the middle, and everything is going to work out fine. And I think that culture gives us security that we really can confide in each other, can trust each other, and can talk to each other.
This is great. So the next question is, everyone who is listening to this, you better listen to this question because this is very important information. What is the best way to enter the cubicle undetected and leave with around 2 to 3 suitcases? And please note that the suitcases might be heavy.
All right, so this is the answer, okay? The best way to enter the cubicle undetected and leave with 2 to 3 suitcases that might be heavy is to be me. Because I can enter the cubicle whenever I want, and I can leave with 2 to 3 suitcases because I'm really strong and good looking, and so I can just leave with heavy suitcases. I think the best way to do it is just to be me.
Okay, I'm gonna argue that and say that you can be. What you need to do is actually get hired by USPS because they pull up every day to pick up packages, right? And then you could just drive away with all the packages. It's perfect.
I think it's easier to be me.
I guess. I mean, it would be easier being for you. Could you imagine just like waking up in the morning, right? In your White Plains home, staring out the window, looking at all of the peasants walking down the street, and they, with your bravado, you turn around, you look at yourself in the mirror, you flex both of your arms, be like, "Oh yeah, those are definitely bigger than a 13 by 13."
Yeah.
And then
suitcase time.
Yeah, and then you put on your tank top, your shorts, your sunglasses, put on your cap backwards, get in your car, right? Drive over to the cubicle and walk through the front door. Nobody even bats an eye. Yeah, I guess it would be easier.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. I mean, you can leave with suitcases too. I mean, you're a vending lead for most of our vending things. So
Yeah, I can actually carry like 2 to 3 suitcases to competition.
You actually leave with 2 suitcases sometimes.
Yeah. I thought like you have like this. I think like I watched the tour. You have like a couple of suitcases like just like I think like near the lobby area, and what I would do is I just like go in there during the night and run, like get those suitcases and run, like run to Canada, like do whatever it takes, just like run.
So just be either myself or Jules. I think that's the easiest way.
Yes.
I'll be contacting my doctor to become either you or Jules. Hopefully, I can get 2 to 3 suitcases. Wish me luck, guys.
What is your biggest regret in your cubing career? This could be related to the cubicle or unrelated.
If we were at work, I would say one thing.
Oh no.
I mean, like if it was work, Phil would say, "Hey, hiring Jules would be."
No.
Like instantly, I already know the answer before I even said. See, this is part of our connection,
Nice.
This is how we know each other so well. But in terms of cubing career, if I were to make the best decision of my life was actually like going to the cubicle and working there, right? Because I get to talk to a bunch of really fun people. I get to hang out with a bunch of really awesome people all the time, and we get to kind of serve a community that has been growing significantly since when we first started, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So I would say that my biggest regret would actually be related to me cubing, because I took it way too seriously, right? I feel like if I had a little bit more fun, I actually just hung out with the people who also did the exact same activities as me, I would be having just as much fun when I was cubing as I am going to work.
Yeah, for me, it mostly has to do with retiring my cubing career when I was actually good at cubing. I felt like had I started earlier, I would have had a much better chance at a longer career. But that's my misfortune turned into an opportunity because they made a documentary about how I failed to be continuing, my career. So that's cool. But yeah, I really wanted to just cube more, but didn't really have the opportunity. So I wish I cubed more.
I know, like, kind of the biggest problem. I guess, like, one of my biggest fears is that when I grow up, it's just gonna be like, okay, we just solved plastic toys. Now what? What do we do?
Exactly.
We don't have
What
a
am I gonna
degree. We
do?
don't have anything. I'm scared. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, what's my major? Like that. That's kind of what I'm kind of thinking about. And then when you like actually are a human and you like actually contribute to this universe, then when are you gonna cube? Like you're just kind of like dropping it, like sort of, or you get to keep it and then just waste your life. So yeah, it's kind of in like a very tough place. But
I wouldn't say it's a waste. Like think about all of the people
yeah,
you've met along the way. Like think about all of the experiences that you're gonna do. Think of all the connections you're gonna make, right? Some of the
yeah,
people you're gonna be competing with, right? You might get introduced to your future boss or whatever, right? They
yeah.
might hook you up with a job, right? They might threaten to fire you every single day of your life.
Actually, no, that's happened a couple of times. Actually, no, not a couple of times, but I'm pretty sure it's happened like multiple times. Just like getting I think Kit Clement and oh shoot, I literally forgot the name, but
Kit and Lauren Clement got married.
Kit and Lauren, yeah, Kit and Lauren. I believe that their relationship really strengthened just with cubing, just like cubing together, learning how to solve a cube, and yeah, I think that's I guess it's not like a waste, but it's sort of like if you're at a corporate job, then cubing doesn't necessarily help like too much, if you will.
You just need to put it into a different perspective, right? Like in terms of practical experiences, sure, it's kind of like not really good. But in terms of like life experiences, you gain a lot from it, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
You learn how to manage your time. You learn how to learn things. You learn how to talk to people. It's the smaller things you gotta appreciate.
Mm-hmm. And when you look up someone's name, a cuber's name, like pretty much the first result is their WCA account. And if people, your future employers and the college administration offices, they look up your name to see if you've like done anything bad or anything good. And the first thing that comes up, if it's your WCA profile, as we all know, cubing requires a lot of smarts and you need to be really good at math. And that'll be good to get into college. So yeah, DG and Aryan did like a seminar on how cubing, quote unquote, got them into college. That probably wasn't the whole story, but your WCA profile being the first result on Google could maybe help.
So, both of you use so-called unusual methods or really not as common methods, as CFOP is the most popular. Why did you guys choose to use Rue and ZZ?
Sure, yeah, I chose ZZ because I didn't want to learn OLL. And then I kind of thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool to use this for one-handed? And I don't really regret it because I was able to get some pretty good one-handed results. It's actually my only accomplishment in cubing, just a one-handed record. And so, yeah, I'm really happy I chose it. It does make my 3x3 a little like weaker, but it's fun to do the thing that no one else does and get something out of it. It's pretty cool.
And for me, the only reason I used Rue is because I didn't want to learn OLL. So
We
Oh
suck.
no.
it's the same reason. Just I didn't want to learn OLL. It looked intimidating, and I didn't want to learn too many Alex.
I mean, both Rue and ZZ. ZZ, I know Phil uses COL, and Rue uses CMLL, which is pretty much COL, but with
Yeah, same
other
thing.
stuff. But like OLL isn't many Alex less than CMLL or COL.
Yeah, but
I mean,
like
You
if
never
you
said
think
we were
about it,
smart.
like listen, 42 is still less than 57,
that is true.
right?
That's true.
We're
I haven't
never
learned
claiming that we're smart. Like, bro.
But yeah,
I mean,
I
I've
did
learned-
not want to learn. But like the thing is, it was at the time it was such a weird method, right? And I was actually doing like a weird corners first method. Like that's how I learned, was with a really weird commutator method, because I was doing heist because I didn't want to learn Alex in general. So I learned how to do comms first, which is probably not a good idea now that I think about it. But still,
Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode of the CuberCast podcast. Huge thanks again to Jules and Phil for coming on. This was a great podcast, and thank you guys so much for coming on. It was great.
you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And yeah, thank you guys so much again for listening. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe, or Spotify or SoundCloud. We're on a bunch of podcast things now. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. See you guys in the next episode.